Well, welcome and good morning, and welcome to City Talk with Slim. Of course, it's sponsored, not sponsored, but presented by the Slim Nation One-on-Ones Experience. And it's just something that I want to do as far as talking to different people throughout the cities. Some will be elected officials, some will be everyday citizens. It's just all about the cities and probably in most cases trying to put a positive spin. We're not going negative here. We just want to share information about what's going on in our different cities throughout the Hampton Roads. And of course, this is a new segment for me. And of course, we've had the mayor of Hampton, we've had the mayor of Portsmouth, we've had Tina Vick from Newport News, councilwoman. And today we have my longtime friend, Franklin D. Edmondson, well, the Honorable Franklin D. Edmondson, and everybody calls him Franklin. His name is Franklin, but that's the proper way to say it. But haven't seen anybody that called him Franklin. Probably his mother when she was mad at him. You know how they call out your whole name when they get mad at you. But anyway, everybody calls him Franklin, so you'll hear me addressing him as Frankie today because that's the way we roll. That's the way we communicate. But anyway, and no disrespect to his title. Anyway, Frankie, good morning. How are you, man? I know you're dealing with some allergies, so I really appreciate you coming on and sharing some information with us today.
Well, thank you, Slim. I really appreciate being here, and no insult taken. It's Frankie. Obviously, been my name for 57 plus years, and so people call me that. It's a good thing my parents named me that, right? Because that's what everybody calls me. So
How about that?
I've enjoyed it, and I appreciate our long time association and friendship, and I appreciate your work in the community as well. We've done a lot together. I think there's still a lot more to do, and I'm so excited to be here this morning to share some information with you and your viewers. And I appreciate what you're doing. And I'm so very proud of all the things you've accomplished and the things we've accomplished together. So I'm looking forward to doing the show and being with you and happy to help any way I can. Thank you.
Yes, yes, indeed. It's a collective effort. And, I remember you way back when you were a pup, a little young. I don't even think you had hair on your face, man. You
Well,
still don't, but you probably can if you want to. But back then, I don't even think you could grow it. That's how young you were. But anyway,
I tell them,
but
I love to tell them, I say, what's not turning gray is turning loose. So I'll keep the gray. Maybe it's turning a little
how
gray.
about that? Hold on to it, brother. But anyway, I want to start out too, but ask how long have you been the Commissioner of Revenue now?
It's my honor, indeed, my privilege to serve as the Commissioner of Revenue in Portsmouth. I got first elected in 2005. So 2005, I became the Commissioner 2006. So I've been the Commissioner for 20 years. I'm in my 21st year as the Commissioner, and I've learned a lot, but it's become my passion and my love, labor of love, if you will. I enjoy what we do and helping others. And so I think we've really found our voice, and I'm happy to serve.
Yes, indeed, and I brought that up because I want people to know that you've been there a long time, and probably you're getting it right. I mean, you know what you're doing, and it's
Well,
important that people know that when you share information, you have somebody there that's battle tested and been through a lot and learned a lot and still learning. I know you'll be the
that's
first one
right.
to admit that. You
Yes, sir.
always open yourself up for new knowledge and technology and everything that's going on today. But anyway, I want to start out, Frankie, with you giving a brief overview for the people that don't really know exactly what the Commissioner of Revenue does. Sometimes they get it mixed up with the Treasurer's Office, even though some of the things are sort of you work together on some of the issues of the city involving finance and assessments. You're also the assessment office, and I've been on the board of equalization for over 10 years now. So sometimes we have to come to you all if we have some issues when we're doing appeals. So all that ties in together. But give us a brief overview of what the Commissioner of the Revenue Office does.
Yes, sir. I'm happy to. Commissioner of Revenue is one of five constitutional officers in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Of course, you have the sheriff, clerk of court, and the Commonwealth's attorney. They deal with legal matters, and the Commissioner of Revenue and the treasurer, they deal with financial matters. So these positions were so important that the framers of our state constitution thought that it was imperative that they report directly to the people. So we serve as an agent for the state as well as for the localities we serve. Commissioners of Revenue in particular, there's 127 across the Commonwealth, and we serve as a chief assessment officer for that locality. In some cities, they do a dual role. So they do real estate as well as other things like personal property and that sort of thing. In most cities, they have a real estate assessor. So most commissioners in cities do not do real estate. So you might take all your business license, personal property, or what they call tangible business property, things of that nature, emissions tax, any type of administrative revenue source. Most of the time, commissioners of the revenue will administer those or oversee those. So the one caveat to that is, Virginia has multiple types of government for localities. So some localities will use a director of finance, if you will, or a chief financial officer in that role. We see our role here in Portsmouth, and the way most of them are used across the Commonwealth, as the best way, because we believe that the individual that serves the people directly to the people works best for the people. So every 4 years, commissioners across the Commonwealth, not just myself, offer ourselves up for service. And we are the community from the community, and we serve this community. And so we try to create a fair and equitable approach to taxation. None of us like taxes. I'll be the first one to tell you I'm not a big fan of taxes, but we want everyone to be treated fairly and correctly, and with we want to make sure that everyone receives an opportunity to understand what the taxes are, and that we can bring in as much revenue as we need it on a collective basis to serve the locality and the citizens, if you will, that make up our Portsmouth and our city or county. So we want to be fair and equitable, but we also want to be correct. So, if you will, we're the ones that ask the questions about things, and we put them in perspective. So we're almost like umpires, if you will, referees. We have to take information, compare that information to the laws and rules, if you will, that are in effect, and then see what the outcomes will be. Sometimes that's very easy. Other times it's not. And to be honest with you, I don't want a bureaucrat making decisions about my tax bill necessarily. I want a person that has empathy, that's missed a payment from time to time, somebody that's been on the other side of a situation, who can understand and appreciate what you're dealing with right at home. And, sometimes you got to make a tough call, but you make that call in the best interest of the taxpayer, understanding that we also have to represent the city, if you will, who needs resources to operate. Because teachers do a great job, firefighters do a wonderful job, police officers and city employees and everyone else do outstanding work. But of course, they deserve a fair compensation for their work. And that's how localities make up their budgets and their funding, or excuse me, that's how they fund their budgets, by raising these revenue, these funds.
Yes, indeed, and the city has to operate, but like you mentioned, there is some compassion for citizens that might have some issues, and the main thing is talking to the people that you owe, letting them know the situation. If they don't know, sometimes they have to act according to what the law provides for them to do in order to collect those taxes. And if anybody's listening to Frankie right now, and you used to hearing a little higher pitch in his voice, because it's a little deeper today. So if you see him, that's Frankie, but you hear a little higher pitch there. But
Right.
that allergy will do that to you. But anyway,
The one thing, if I could just
sure,
add
go
one little
ahead.
thing. So commissioners assess, and the treasurer's office will do the collection.
You do the
So that's a
collection, yeah.
separation of powers, checks and balances, if you will, to make sure that everything's on a level playing field. Commissioners will assess, and the real estate tax assessor will assess, and then they send those records and files over to the treasurer, who then proceeds with the collection process. That's one
Yeah.
clear distinction.
Yeah, yes, indeed. And I mentioned that, and you'll probably talk about that later about the appeals processes that you have in order to before it gets to to the treasurer. You have those
Right.
appeals that people can come and say, I think, I'm a little high there, or occasionally you get somebody to say it's a little low, but that doesn't happen too
Very
often.
rarely, but it does happen. It's very
Yes.
rarely.
Yeah, I see that in personal property sometimes. It's an
Right.
alternative reason for people that might say that, but that doesn't happen. But anyway, let's get into. I wanted to talk about um, business taxes or business license. And the reason I wanted to talk about that because a lot of people don't understand, especially when you're talking about home businesses, in which a
Right.
lot of people involved now, a lot of people on their computers doing things and getting paid by YouTube. And, and they might have a LLC, connected with that YouTube channel, which is a business. And and if you're in the city of Portsmouth and you're operating like that, you really need a business license. But talk about that, and include the home businesses. But talk about people who needs the business license because a lot of people really don't know. I mean, especially if they have something really small and they don't realize that they need to have a license as well, especially if they're cooking food. So that
Right.
it's very important that they be registered in the city so the health department will know. But talk about that.
Right. Yes, sir. It's really interesting, and I appreciate this opportunity to share with others some of the things we are confronted with each and every day. Obviously, we want to have people have safe, workplaces, if you will, or they want to make sure they get safe, meals and that sort of thing. So the reality of, as we know it, bricks and mortar, localities do very well with brick and mortar locations. They do well with establishments where you have a building and pull up in front of the building, go in, get your service or your product and come out. So those have been around a long, long time. What some people have a question about and what you've alluded to this morning is what we might call a gig economy, or let's say the new found economy where people are working from home and other things. Is predicated most of the time on how you file your taxes. So I have a colleague, he likes to tell, I don't really care what you tell Uncle Sam, but you have to tell both of us the same thing. So
Mm-hmm.
most people will say, I'm not an independent contractor. That's a federal term that the federal government uses, IRS, to say that basically that's a federal term for the federal government to understand whether you work for someone as an employee, 1099 versus a W 2. So there are other ways to file your taxes, but if you receive a traditional W 2, which means you work for a company, a other business, and someone is paying your taxes, paying the tax rather on your behalf, or contributing to those taxes, that's called a traditional employee. A 1099 employee or a business owner, if you're the only one that owns that business, then chances are you're going to have a separate business license because you're engaged in a separate business. And that could be people who might be delivering food, or maybe a Uber Lyft or some other, driver. That could be someone who's delivering packages as an independent contractor, hence the word, you're not part of the company. So, excuse me. In fact, if you have a business and you're taking photographs or you're taking videos or you're posting things or you're walking dogs or all types of things, there are people who rent out their trucks by hourly basis now. You can rent people's swimming pools. And all of these things have to go through a process. We may not always agree with the process, but like you've alluded to earlier, the processes or the systems are in place to protect the safety, health, and welfare of communities. And so that's why we have to ask the question. So we ask the questions, rather, we take the answers and we apply them in a review process to let us know, first, do you owe tax? And if you do you have, what will that tax be? Because if you can't imagine, they're all on a graduated type approach, different scale as to what type of business you're in. Then the Commonwealth of Virginia and the city of Portsmouth will give you different rates. So two ways you get to what your tax is going to be. One, for a tangible process, or for a tangible like a vehicle, boat, trailer, motorcycle, or a conference table, computer, whatever. It's the value of that item, and then it's going to be predicated on the rate. So many per hundred is going to make up what that tax assessment will be. From a business license standpoint, it's on your gross receipts from the prior year. So in an instance, when you open up, you might have an estimated gross receipts. You may say, this is my very first year in business. I'm cutting grass, or, doing landscaping, or what have you. I don't do this. I haven't done it by myself in a while, or before. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to estimate $100,000 in the city of Portsmouth is the threshold. If you make over $100,000, of course, it goes to a graduated scale. If you make less than $100,000, which is traditional small businesses do, or independent contractors will do, then that'll be a $50 flat rate. And the very first one will also have a zoning clearance, which is about $15. So you're looking at $65. You're in business. And then some banks or financial institutions, some insurance companies, other people that you'll be doing business with may require a license, and that's going to meet that requirement. But we love to have the questions, because it's our job to validate, if you will, is someone in business or out of business. Now, there are some nuances, if you will, some caveats to that. By that, I mean, if you're a recording artist and you're doing your own music, or you're an artist and you're drawing your own photo, your own paintings rather, or you're creating art, there is some allowances for that where they would not have to have a license. In some cases, if you work at certain farmers markets or an individual place of business that's covered by state code that allows you to sell that outside of normal conditions, obviously that will be considered as well. So normally, if you're making an item, the retail sale is you can make that. And I say that we still have to see it on an individual basis to make the final determination. But within doubt, most people need a license.
Yeah, and some people, especially with small businesses, might see it as a burden. But what are maybe some of the advantages, if you have a small business, of having that business license, if there are any advantages? I'm sure it's something to having that. Like, well, one thing you don't want to get. I don't know if if you find out somebody's operating without a license, what
You
happens there. But are there
you
any
can.
advantages?
There are some consequences, and we can address them quickly. And then, first of all, I'm not an attorney and I'm not a CPA. I don't really give tax advice or legal advice, but we can give broad brush approach to things. So
Mhm.
yes, if you want to open a business, or you feel like you're engaged in business, it's best to seek a tax advisor, a legal advisor, to determine what meets your needs. Where you are individually. And so what would happen is you would meet with some of those folks, get yourself set up, whether you want to be sole proprietor, whether you want to go through the state corporation commission, ever how you determine to set up your business that's going to be legally and financially, if you will, through a CPA or tax preparer, beneficial to you. That's first and foremost. What are we dealing with? What type of entity are we dealing with? And then going from there, obviously, if you're in business, sometimes you can take certain deductions on your federal and or state. And the one caveat I will tell you, we get this a lot, where somebody will say, okay, we're talking about personal property, and the topic this year is Personal Property Tax Relief Act. So commercial vehicles do not qualify for personal property tax relief. We've been participating in this program 21 years here in Portsmouth, as other localities around the state. And that's been a caveat or a requirement since the beginning, and it continues to remain there today. So if you do use your vehicle, whether it be owned personally, whether you pay personal insurance and that sort of thing, if it's used for the course of business greater or more than 50%, then that vehicle is not going to qualify for personal property tax relief. as all the others. And that's the first 20,000 on the value of the vehicle. So when you're responsible, you make a decision to go in business, obviously there would be some consequences. Now, not giving legal advice, but that individual may qualify for some sort of deduction and or reduced on their federal taxes or state. You're not probably not going to get both tax relief and additional burden. I mean, a benefit rather on a deduction of some sort for your federal. So it's depending on how you want to file your taxes, what is most impactful to your life or your business or your operation. And to be honest with you, that's an individual decision that people have to make for themselves.
Yeah. And certainly, in the city, the city offers certain incentives for someone that has a business, like if you're on High Street and they are offering, you know, uh, small business loans to fix up if you don't have that license, you're not going to qualify.
That's right.
Of
And a
course.
lot of times they have grants through the,
Right.
most of the time is through EDA or it's through the
Hmm.
economic development department, and they make them available. They make them, it's pretty accessible. And like you said, one of the first requirements is going to be, do you have a local, current license?
Right. You have to keep it up. And you mentioned something about relief. You mentioned relief about the trucks. And so that's a good segue. I wanted to go into, you know, uh, the tax relief programs. And some people are confused about that, between the veterans and then what elderly qualify. And some people I have talked to, because they're not a veteran, they say, oh, okay, I don't qualify because they think it's only for the veterans. So explain the two, and explain that there is relief for elderly people, uh, but with certain stipulations, of course, and financial stipulations they have to meet to qualify. But some people don't think they qualify because they're not a veteran. So clear that up for a lot of people out there.
Yes, sir. The first one I'll speak on is personal property tax relief. So that is on the first $25,000 of your assessed value of your vehicle for qualifying vehicles. By that, I mean no business vehicle, no business that's used over 50% in the course of business, and some of those things that we've talked about through the years. But be honest with you, that's the first one. You don't necessarily have to apply for that. It comes up on our system. We get information through JD Power, which purchased NADA, National Automobile Dealers Guide. All of the values are predicated on the sales data that they gather from regional and national sales information. And so they categorize that for our region. We get that data and we use that to value the vehicle on a first sight, if you will. That's where you're talking about people who may get a reduction if they have high mileage or they have damage or things of that nature, car not operable, things of something that might be unique to their individual unit. So we do mass appraisal on all the vehicles. So maybe in the neighborhood of about 88 to 90,000 items that we're doing. That's personal property tax relief, and that's on, as the hence the name, personal property, not business.
Right.
So having said that, if an individual served a country, they get qualified for military, if you will, or veteran relief. That's a separate one. So Portsmouth currently offers two exemptions. One is real estate, and one is for personal property. So if an individual is 100% totally and permanently disabled, they're not able to work, they'll have information and documentation from the federal government, Veterans Administration, those things. You do have to apply for those exemptions. So an individual could have either or both. So chances are, if you qualify for real estate tax exemption and you complete the paperwork and you submitted the documentation and you've been deemed or found um, to receive the exemption status, then that would be on your real estate primarily. Then we have a separate form for personal property, and then you would get both real estate tax relief, and then the personal property tax relief. And actually, they're exemptions, so you wouldn't have tax on that, on your home or your real estate that qualifies, and or your primary or your chosen vehicle, personal property. So traditionally, if you have that type of exemption, you wouldn't get personal property tax relief because you probably want to take the greater reduction, if you will. So if you have a full exemption versus a 20% offset, then that's most people are going to take the uh, personal property reduction. I mean, the exemption rather. And then, of course, there are some other exemptions programs that we do not administer, but we assist with. They go through the Department of Social Services, and those are for individuals that could either get a tax relief, I mean, you have a tax freeze rather, or certain exemptions on their real estate tax. And we help individuals complete those forms, and we help them file them normally in April, if you will, of the year of a given year, but that's particular month, the beginning of the month, and that program is predicated on certain income levels and or asset ownership.
Yeah, and I want to move on, but I want to also mention that you are always available to, to come out to different groups or organizations or someone from your office to come out and talk about and answer questions about, some of the things that you do in your office. Sometimes people don't know where to go when certain issues come up. And I just
That's right.
wanted to say that. And before we leave, I'll get information how they can contact your office and make an appointment with you to either come into the office and talk to you personally. You're pretty good about that, or coming out to a group and just spreading the word. I mean, you're all about sharing the information to make sure people get the right information, because it can get a little, mixed up sometime if they listen to the wrong people, because sometimes it can be individualized. It's the person, you know. Just
That's
because it
right.
worked, a certain thing worked for you doesn't mean it's going to be the same for someone else that has different income.
Right.
So we really appreciate that about you, Frankie, and you always been. That's why you've
Thank
been
you.
there 20 some years. I want to talk
Well, thank
now
you.
about the convenience that people have, and I think most people know it now, but not everybody knows of being able to come to your office and get some DMV business done. Not
That's right.
everything, but I think you all are doing a little bit more than you did when you first opened up there, the Sunlight office. So explain to people exactly what they can get done at City Hall as opposed to having to go out to Churchland. It might be convenient for some people because they live out there, but if you live on this side of the bridge, it might be more convenient to come down to City Hall and take care of your DMV business.
Right. Yes, sir. We have a DMV Select office in our City Hall building, and I want to thank the council. Some 20 years ago, we're going to celebrate our 20th anniversary in December of
Oh
this
wow, it's been
year.
that long.
Yes, sir.
That's
Yes,
yeah.
sir. I was in office for about maybe 11 months, and we got awarded the opportunity to sell. So our idea at that time, and still remains today, is to give people options. They can go to the service center, they can go online, or they can come to the DMV Select, which is on the first floor of City Hall. And there's 16 to 20 services that we can provide. Now, the traditional, we're not going to be able to do ID cards or driver's license that you'll allow you to operate a motor vehicle. And those are some restraints, if you will, that DMV has placed on their partners around the Commonwealth. So you must go to a service center or go through a DMV now or something like that to get that ID card or driver's license that fits in your wallet. And I would encourage people, if you're going to renew your license, to consider that the Real ID, which is a nationally recognized program by which, if you're going to go fly, if you're going to be in some federal buildings or some federal properties, you must have that Real ID. And if you look on the top right-hand corner of your license from Virginia, there'll be a star there, or the outline of a star. That's your Real ID. Unfortunately, we cannot offer them through our traditional DMV services. On occasion, we have had DMV Now, which would come into our offices and they can do any DMV services. That's on a just like you're going to a service center. Those are DMV employees who we ask to come in, and from time to time, we hope to be able to do that in the future, to allow that and to offer that. What will happen is, in addition, we have we do most of your tags, titles, all of those other things. You need to sell a vehicle, you need to transfer, you need to do any of those types of things. We're there to be able to do all of those things. Our office operates as a hub, so we get supplies, if you will, tags and tags and all the paperwork associated for this whole region. So our office operates as a hub for DMV Selects. That is an individual contract that we have with the Division of Motor Vehicles that I sign as the commissioner. So it's we're in partnership with the city. We get an 80-20 split. 80% of the commission is on that. And I'm glad that you brought this up, because most of those funds that we get, they go for two purposes. They come in to help supplement the um, um, the earnings, if you will, or the pay of the individuals who are serving in that capacity, providing that service, and or they come right back to the community for community service endeavors. So we do donate a lot of money through the years, some in the neighborhood of 20, 30, $40,000 a year, 45,000, and over the last, I'd say the last 30 years, for some period of time, there was a disagreement. We didn't get all of the funds, and it was one of those things. But what we've done is we take these monies, we put them right back in the community to serve the individuals. So we have to be sovereign. So if we need a printer or computer or something of that nature, we'll spend that money for that purpose, and to make the office sound and make sure it continues to thrive. But we play as much money as we can back into like little leagues or to senior organizations, churches, synagogues, community organizations. That doesn't mean we have a bottomless pit of money. That doesn't mean we have a bottom, paycheck, a big wallet. We try to do as much as we can for as many as we can, and we do something as simple as $100, or we do something maybe $1,000. We try to make those donations, but all of those funds they're not tax dollar related. They're all from the proceeds of that DMV Select that we offer in our office, and that's been a good partnership through the years. We're in the process now for the 20 years to try to calculate just how much money we've donated and been in partnership with. And that may be a feed the homeless or feed the hungry. It could be providing, a safe environment for someone to sleep. It can be all types of things. We're giving out, meals to children, all types of things. And we've been very fortunate through the years to be partnership and basically working in an affinity type relationship, if you will, with individuals throughout Portsmouth that need help and assistance. And they're non-tax dollars, so no tax money are spent in those areas. But we're happy to help, and we're happy to provide that. So we provide the service, then we take an initial small part off the top, and then we take those proceeds and give them back. And I'm very proud of the program, in essence, that all of our employees or all of our coworkers in our office have a chance to submit some of their civic league, or they have a particular charity that they're interested in, and they're all considered together. And we can't fund everyone every year, but of course we try to do as much as we can with what we have.
Yeah, that's great, and thanks. And citizens need to know that, giving back, because sometimes they look at the city, all the city does is collect, but the city, certain departments also give back. And it's just important to know. I want to ask this too, and I think probably the technology has improved since a long time ago. One time I sold a car, and I was still getting personal property tax bill, and I had to go down there and show them that I sold the car, so they would take it off. They wouldn't be charging me. And I think that might happen because it's a lot of sales between individuals, that might not get recorded. Now you can tell me if now you all just pick up on that, but I don't see. But what should a person do if they make one of those kind of sales between you and your neighbor of your car to make sure that it's recorded and you won't continue to get that bill?
They should reach out to our office and let us know that the car was sold. And then obviously when the corresponding documentation come in, obviously that'll be checked and verified. But we'll take their word initially. But yeah,
Yeah, all
we
I
need to
did was tell
communicate.
them
Yeah,
I no longer have the car, and they just struck it off. But
we're
I was
very
just
good.
wondering. Go ahead. I'm
We're
sorry.
very good on finding this information. Obviously, we get reports after report, if you can only imagine. I will tell you, the DMV, Division of Motor Vehicles, is a state agency. So they're
Hmm.
dealing with transactions from all over the Commonwealth. And so your particular information, may or may not get in. Hopefully it works that it is in, but it may not. So the best way, is to ensure that you get it, is to give me a call or give our office a call, or if you're in City Hall, just stop past and say, I don't have this vehicle any longer. um, and one of the things I will tell you is that we're open, and like you said, I mean, we're open from 8 to 5 or by appointment. So if you
Hmm.
can't get there within those hours, you let us know, and in most cases we'll come to the individuals. I make a set of a lot of appointments every week. I try to stay out of City Hall, no pun intended, but as much as I can, because I feel like I want to be out in the community with the individuals that we serve. So that's one of the things that lead me to this next thing is, in the past we've had drive-through appeals, and
Hmm.
we intentionally do that to give people an opportunity to come in and to appeal or ask questions about their assessed value of their vehicle. And we've done that in Old Town, downtown for a while. And because of so much activity and construction, that may be problematic this year. So we may not do a on-site drive-through appeal where we get 200, 250 vehicles all on a Saturday to drive through. What we're trying to do to mitigate that is, obviously we offer appeals every day in City Hall, at 801 Crawford Street, in Portsmouth, for Portsmouth taxpayers. That's not going to help people in Virginia Beach or
Hmm.
Chesapeake or Norfolk or somewhere. It have to be Portsmouth. The tax bill has to be coming from our office in Portsmouth, and then we can deal with that accordingly. What we have done for 21 years, and what we're going to continue to do, but we may amplify or intensify this year, is a mobile appeal. So we're going to invite individuals to call in, let us know they need an appointment, they disagree, and then we'll do our very best to get a team out there over the next several months to your home, your place of business, to a central location where we go to the taxpayer through a mobile concept and get there and say, okay, the taxpayer wants to appeal, and then we take the information they provide and see what kind of relief we could give with regards to that tax assessed value. So it'll still be the same process, but it's all predicated on the condition of the vehicle. But because of so much construction and all the streets downtown having issues, this and this, whatnot, the case may be, anticipating the improvements and everything that we're going to see, through the years coming up, it's necessary for us, and we just don't have the location to hold the on site. We anticipate maybe going back to that and or increasing our online presence eventually, where someone can provide the documentation online and consider it in that regard. But we look at tax appeals every day, and we do make changes. So when in doubt, if you call our office, we'll be more than happy if you send email request. And for some reason, we'll get a lot of them this time of year. So we'll work through as many of them as quickly as we can and try to get them all accomplished prior to that June 5th billing date, which is when your taxes, your first initial billing date is going to be due on June the 5th of a calendar year annually. So we'll do as much as we can, and that may be in the evenings, it may be weekends, whatever it takes to provide the level of service that we believe that the citizens want and expect from our office.
Yeah, well, thanks for that, and I like that. I keep adding these little things in that you all do that a lot of people don't know. A lot of people that come down to City Hall occasionally during the summer, they might see some young people in there working. So talk about that program that you have that you're bringing. I want to call, is it intern or whatever
It
you call
is.
it, where you have young people, and I've seen countless. Young people in there, and now they are out there. They're productive citizens, either here in the city of Portsmouth or elsewhere, and they can always refer back to that time that they spent in the Commissioner of Revenue's office and how that experience sort of enhanced, them in their future going forward. So talk about that program and how that works, and I think that's something you started, if I'm not
We
mistaken.
did. Yes,
Mhm.
sir. We did. All of us have need help along the way to get where we're going. And our young folks, our young people are our future. And we want to give them a fair chance to succeed. And to be quite honest with you, our office has been very blessed and enhanced. We've had some wonderful individuals. And I'll just call out some of their positions. And, we've had individuals who went on to serve as student government president at Old Dominion University or Virginia State University. We've had individuals who didn't really come exactly through that program initially, but could have been one of the first ones who worked in our office back 20 plus years ago and now serves as chair of the Portsmouth School Board. If you
Mhm.
will. And so we have individuals
I
throughout
remember
the
I remember
course.
seeing him
Yeah,
in there. Yeah.
right. Right. And I can tell you, we were lucky to have him work there and we
Yeah.
hated to see him go. But of course, he was leaving for other opportunities. And we've been so, we look at him with pride, knowing that we've had a long time relationship. And I'm so proud of what he's accomplished and what we've accomplished together by continuing to see the fruits of his labor, if you will. And I'll just say that with all due respect and humility, in a sense that these young people are continuing their education. They're doing great things. They're earning their master's degrees. They're earning doctoral degrees, and they're still serving, in the community. And we started that, and a lot of people have come through our office. And from time to time, they'll come back and we see them and they'll be doing some other transaction in City Hall or whatnot. But most of them, if they're on break or they come back and they say, "Thank you so much for the opportunity that I got from this office." And I'd like to also say we got a companion type program. The treasurer's office is doing likewise. They have a little
Yeah.
bit more formal
Sure.
process than we do, but I applaud their efforts for getting young people involved. When I was in school, I came through and they had what was called City Hall Day. So all
Mhm.
students in Portsmouth public schools participated in that day. And so I was fortunate enough to be in that program. I don't know that that program still exists any longer, but I always thought it was neat to get young people into the City Hall building and let them see how it operates and how it works. And through the years, the city's done a wonderful job with that. I guess I could inquire to see if that other program exists, but our internship, it's nothing real formal. We'll talk to you, find out what you like to do, what you want to do. And most of the time is paid. If we can scrap up some resources, we get them paid. But the most important part is to be, involved with transitioning, if you will, from an internship and from that knowledge into further education and or from full-time employment.
Yeah.
And we
Looks
like to
good on
think
your
that
resume.
we give
Yeah.
them that, you give them that first impression means a lot. And so we've had individuals, come back and say, "I'm doing X, Y, or Z now." And a lot of families in Portsmouth have been touched by it. It's just been a true blessing for them and for us. Obviously, it takes a very responsible person because we're dealing with tax information and we do have an office setting. We try to maintain full decorum throughout. So we can't, it's got to be very professionally done, and the individual in most cases have been exceptional individuals who've come. That doesn't mean we don't talk to everyone, but and it's not cut out for everyone. I'll be honest with you. It's inside. It's in an office. It's great opportunity. But like I say, you're gonna have to be responsible. Also, you're gonna get, what President Kennedy said: "To whom much is given, much is also required," because they're gonna have to be maintained the same level of privacy and so forth that Virginia Code demands. And so it's a rigorous schedule. They are partnered with a mentor type program in our office. I spend a lot of time with them myself, and it keeps me young and fresh, and hopefully gives them some experience to gain, garner from. And I'm very pleased that we've been able to maintain that, and I appreciate you allowing me to share that. It's one of the highlights over the years that we've been able to accomplish together with our partners in the community. And I encourage people, if you know bright young people in the community, to let us know. We want to partner with them, and I'm sure the treasurer would also be happy to interview individuals who you might want to follow that type of work in the future.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to bring up those things. I wanted to hound business, what you all do there, but I also wanted to give you accolades about the other programs that you do, uh, giving back to the community and also helping the young people that's coming through. And I think that's important for people to know that don't know. Most people know you've been there a long time, but a lot of people
Right.
don't know, and we need to always bring that up. It's two other things I want to talk about, and then I want to give you to wrap it up. I want to give you an opportunity to just mention anything else that we probably didn't cover. One thing, a lot of people when they pay their their taxes, every year, April 15th, and in May, a lot of people do it at the same time and get it out of the way. And some people that do their own taxes say, "Well, okay, I'll do the federal now, and I got time to do the state." If you What's your advice to the people? Because not everybody knows the state comes through you all. State income taxes come through the Commissioner
Right.
of Revenue's office. But what would be your advice for people that do their own taxes and they try to they have because they have that extra time to do the state? They'll delay it and then sometimes miss it. Forget. So what would be your advice about the people? Dealing with the federal and state.
Well, it's not much time because it's April 15th as the federal, and then May 1st is the state.
Oh, it's May 1st.
So
I
it's
thought it
only a
was late.
couple of weeks, right? Well, it can be, obviously you can get extensions and that sort of thing, or if you what you may also be talking about, there's two types. One, if you pay on a quarterly or estimated tax basis, some seniors or some individuals in the different, let's say tax brackets or whatever. I encourage you to talk to a professional first and find out what's best for individuals. Normally, if you're having them done out, then somebody will say, "I'm going to get them done at the same time and get them filed and just get it off my plate."
Right.
That's
Most
probably
of.
the easiest and best for me.
Mm-hmm.
My wife will tell me, "You got to get them done," and so on and so forth. But here's the thing: we do two things. We are a recognized state recognized depository for you filing your taxes. So you can file most cases in our office with your state income tax by May 1st. So, having said that, in some cases, in a lot of cases, we prepare them for you. So, if you are having them done commercially, obviously, a lot of people, when I first went out, we did about 11 to 14,000 tax returns a year. Now we're doing somewhere in the neighborhood between 2 to 3,000. So it's
Wow.
been
Yeah.
a change, but we still can receive them. So if someone prepares them for you and you don't want to put the stamp on them to Richmond, obviously you can drop them off with us. We'll make sure they get returned to Richmond timely. And if you give them to us, obviously you'll have that receipt as such. But the reality of that is, I would say whatever works best for you. And you got to have, in most cases, if we're going to assist someone with preparation of their taxes, they're going to have their federal taxes done first. Some localities across the Commonwealth have a relationship with the IRS, particularly in rural areas where they'll do that as well for their taxpayer because they don't have as many options, if you will, to get them done commercially or whatnot. But in our office, we do state taxes and then we receive your state tax filing. On an estimated tax, traditionally that it would be a coupon related type payment, and that'll obviously we can assist with that, but the information is in. So whatever information you receive from the Virginia Department of Taxation, once you're established or set up in that estimated framework, that coupon will tell you when and where to file.
Yeah, well, thanks for that. I appreciate that. A lot of people, a lot of people do their own taxes that don't have a lot of
Right.
itemized items or deductions, so they do it simply. And I think a lot of people didn't know that they can come to your office and get assistance with that, rather than
And we
scratching their
have
head
tax
trying.
filings, we have tax forms, tax booklets, all of those types of things. When in doubt, just ask and we'll do what we can to get you what you need.
Okay, before you do your summation, well, what is this new fraud investigative unit? What is that all about? What is?
Okay, what that is basically, we have 6 individuals in our office who participate with an organization called the Certified Fraud Examiners, excuse me, Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, and it's an unfortunate situation, James, but I can tell you that most communities and most individuals never think about fraud, but fraud does exist, and we do a lot of business in the city of Portsmouth, and we want to have ourselves educated and professionally prepared to handle what is needed. So we participate with the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners. They have a program which is an educational program to enhance someone's professional understanding of fraud and how it might present itself in certain financial and or business settings. So they have different components or membership types. We're part of a federal program, but we also looking at business and we're looking at governmental units. So that may be a state unit, maybe a local government or what have you. But some individuals in our office are more involved. It just adds a new component or additional component of review, if you will, as we look at case after case to see is something correct. It provides a resource, if you will, for us on individual cases, a case by case basis. We don't go into every case looking at fraud, but if we run into a category where we need to look at it, obviously we have professionals that we can reach out to, get assistance and or get a direction or some sort of knowledge, if you will, in certain businesses and categories of businesses. In addition to that, it does help us to understand fraud is happening out there every day with computer fraud and technology fraud and financial frauds and all of those types of things. And so we believe that it gives us a well-rounded approach to the type of work that we do. On occasion, we do audits and we do reviews of individual businesses and or individual taxpayers. And so the name of it might be a little bit uh, discerning in some respects with regards to people may not exactly know what it is, but it just gives us another tool in the toolbox to help us serve the citizens of Portsmouth to the best of our ability with the knowledge and information out there about fraud, waste, and abuse, and that sort of thing. So it's not a tip line, if you will, but we will take tips. Normally, it's in the use. We use it in the course of our normal business with regards to compliance and or auditing. So we take those components that we use, they are learned from there, or we see industry, changes or industry, whatever's emerging in that particular, those industries to say, okay, watch out for this type of fraud, that type of fraud, or what have you. And, it's one of those areas that we don't like to necessarily engage in because we think it's had a negative connotation, but we see it as a useful tool in our area, in our involvements, if you will, to let people know that we're going to bring the best and the brightest approach to these reviews. And that's what our citizens demand. We want to make sure we don't have someone, because they're a nice person or because they don't do much business or what have you. But if they're committing a fraud, then they need to be held accountable. We believe uh, that 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 type of approach is a professional one, it's a needed one, and it's one that will help us serve the citizens better. So it's the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners. And like I said, we have 6 individuals in our office who are engaged with that organization. And it just gives us another platform, if you will, to help serve the citizens that we all choose to that we're trying to create a better Portsmouth together.
Yeah, so I'm so glad that's out there because years ago my father-in-law got caught up like that. He's old school. He felt like a handshake and a smile was the way to still do business like it was in his day. And the guy did some work on his house, had a business, and really took him for a loop. But and that handshake does not hold up in
Exactly.
court, right?
And
So
we
not
like
these
to
days,
think that we know people, but in today's society, obviously, there's a lot of folks out there that you don't know. And here's the thing: we can take a look at things. We're not going to be able to solve every problem, but we
right?
like to know what happens and what's coming on in the community because we're part of the community as well, and we want to try to serve the individuals. And like I'd say, we're doing everything we can to provide additional level of service to the citizens of Portsmouth. We take our job very seriously, and we want to make sure that we're a part of this community. We're giving our best each and every day.
Yes, and we have a very elderly community, and not only the elderly, anybody can be taken by somebody that's really good at what they do. And if a business is legit, they won't mind if someone thinks that they might have committed something, and they won't mind being looked into per se. But
Well, we have
anyway,
all
thank
kind of businesses in Portsmouth, as you well
right.
know nowadays, international and otherwise. So
Hmm.
we're ready.
It could be the big guys, it could be the small guys. So So
That's right.
yeah, I saw that and I said, well, let me bring that up so he can talk about that. I think that's going to be something great for people to know. But Frankie, I want to thank you, and people that want to know how to get in touch, they can go on the Portsmouth website and go to the Commissioner of Revenue and get all the numbers, and they can actually email you directly from that site if they have some questions or something like that, or if they want you to come out and make your special appearance. You tell them you come with all the bells and whistles. You have dancers behind. No, I'm just joking. But anyway, he comes out there with great information. So I think if you have an organization or a group or an individual like to meet him in the office or meet him for lunch or something like that, I hope I'm not just putting him out there, but just knowing him, I know he would do that. But just get in touch with him, and he'll come out there and share the information that's probably, well, not probably, that's important to your existence here in the city of Portsmouth. A lot of people don't know, and they need to know some things that you will share with them. And I appreciate you coming on here today and share. And you're always welcome to come back anytime it's an update with something going on, or you just want to talk, or if you want to talk about something else, you want to talk about that yacht that you be on. Sometimes you can come on and talk about the yacht that you're on. No, I'm
We don't
joking
have
about
that
that too.
yet.
I'm joking
We're
about
working
that
on
too,
that.
folks. I don't want them to get that in their mind and say, "Well, he got a yacht." But anyway,
Yeah.
but Frankie, if you want to summarize, some things that we might not have mentioned, or just talk about some other things that you do in the office, or just give some neighborly advice to the people out there that might have some involvement with the Commissioner of Revenue's office. Please take this opportunity to do that now, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Number one, again, thank you for having this show and for your involvement and always being present in the community and standing up for the individuals out here. And I just want to tell you one of the highlights and one of the greatest things about my job or what I do is that I get to work with some amazing people.
Mm.
We have some wonderful staff members in our office, and I just want to highlight and celebrate them. We've come through a lot together. We're still working together. We've got great individual talents there. Of course, we've had some folks that didn't cut the mustard, if you will, so to speak. And what does old Coach Nick Saban say, the process is the process. You know, if you want to come and play at in our area, we expect the best. And so we do demand a lot from individuals who work with us. But you know, I always remind myself that we rise to the occasion. You mentioned the boat, so a rising tide lifts all boats, and I think the citizens have hired me, if you will, on an annual, a 4-year basis, rather, quarterly. On a 4-year basis to step in and be their representative in this office. So I take it very seriously. I do the best I can with what we have. But I'm so grateful to work with the men and women that I get to work with. And like I say, you know, they run the office, they're part of the office, and we take our job very, very seriously. There are a lot of positive things happening in Portsmouth. So Portsmouth is on the cutting edge, a lot of good things taking shape. We still have some things to work through, but I can tell you, I'm so excited about the challenges and opportunities that we're confronting and working through together. We're making a real difference here in this community. That's why I ran 21 years ago. That's why I'm encouraged and excited about what we're doing now. I want to remain fresh and on top of the mind awareness of what things are going, what do people need. And our goal is always to be ever present and mindful of community and the associations that we serve. And like you said, they can reach us at City Hall. They can email me, Edmondson F at PortsmouthVA.gov. And then there's the main city number for our office is 393-8700 is a main number. You can reach me directly. That's my number. 757-393-8700. That's the main commissioner number to our office with regards to my desk. And then there's 757-393-8771 will get you to the main number for individuals in the office if you have a particular need, but you may not want need or necessarily speak to me directly. But you're open and well. Like you said, I want to make myself available. I serve the public. I want to work. I work for you, and we want to make sure that individuals know that. And if you don't agree with your tax assessment, or you don't like taxes, or you don't want to you don't something's happening you're not content with, we can always talk through the process. It's my job to meet with you. It's my job to talk through it with you and try to help you understand. And you know, we make mistakes. We can make changes if it's necessary, warranted. And I want to let you know that we're here together. It takes all of us to make this thing work correctly and to make it beneficial to everyone. And that's our goal. I wake up every day. I'm a blessed person. I've been very blessed by the good Lord, allowed me to have good friends like yourself and others who been a mentor to me and give me a sense of inspiration through the years. I see the picture of your parents behind you, and we've spoken many times about the influences that our parents have had in our lives. And I just want to thank you for the blessing that you've been to me. I know that you've had some health concerns and other things through the years, but you've never wavered. You are constant, and you tell me when I'm doing good things, and you tell me when things can improve. And I appreciate that. We've had a good, open relationship through the years, and very candid with regards to that. That makes me a better commissioner. And I know if I do something wrong, or I say something wrong, or I'm not available, you're going to point it out to me. And I respect you and your processes. And you do it in a loving way, not of malice or against people. But, you know, we work through the political process, and we work through other civic engagements and everything else. But I'm so proud of what you've accomplished, this platform that you've emerged to, and you've taken it to new heights, each day. And I can just tell you, I'm celebrating with you. And I know your mom and dad are looking down on you with pride, and as well as I am too. So we love what you're doing. Please keep doing what you're doing, making this programming available to the community. And like you said, in live and in person, or through a medium like this.
Yes.
And I'm just so thankful for the opportunity, and thank you for what you're doing.
Well, thank you, and likewise to all that you said, and I always say this about elected officials, that don't be intimidated by them because they have a position, and especially Frankie. Frankie is very personable, and respect his privacy if he's with his family. But if you see him out and about, you can stop him and talk to him. And it doesn't always have to be about business. It can be about softball that his daughter plays. So he loved to talk
That's
about
right.
that at Western Branch, or it could be about anything. Very personable guy, and as well as business as well. So get to know Frankie, and to get to know somebody is to really appreciate who they are and what they do. And he's also all business. When it comes down to his job, his position in the city, and serving the people. And you heard him talk about all the things that they do outside of what they are required to do as a commissioner's office. So I appreciate that. And thanks everybody for watching today. We appreciate if you like and subscribe. And this will be on the Slim Nation One-on-Ones YouTube channel. And it's called City Talk with Slim. And as always, be aware, be informed, and be involved. And we'll see you next time, and take care. Frankie, I appreciate you. And get over
Thank
that
you.
allergy. I hope you make it through the allergy season, so we can get that voice back where we can recognize who you are without seeing you.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it. Take care,
Take
everybody,
care.
and
Thank
have a
you.
great day. And we'll see you next time on City Talk with Slim.